In this video, we're going to take a closer look at the channel strips and how they operate on the concert, set, and patch level. In the Mainstage window video, I said that you can view each individual channel strip as a representation of a modification to your sound. So let's spend this time expanding on that. First and foremost, when I create a patch by clicking on the gearbox icon and select Create New Patch with Channel Strip, it prompts me for some more information here. It asks me to name the patch. Then it asks me how many channel strips I want to create and what type of channel strip. For right now, I'm just going to create one channel strip. I'm going to make sure the type is set to instrument. My MIDI input is also coming from my keyboard. And then the other option here is where I want to set the output to. The other option here is to send the output directly to whatever bus I want to. I'm not going to select a bus because if I did that, it would send my signal to an aux channel that my effects are on, but I wouldn't be able to easily dial in the amount of the effect that I want. So now I've got my patch created and my channel strip created. Let's look at the contents of the channel strip itself. The first item in the channel strip is expression control. This will allow you to quickly set the expression value for the channel strip. The settings menu is where you'll go to load and save channel strips. Clicking save will take a snapshot of the channel strip and all its effects and routing, and then it can be saved and reopened later. After that, we have EQ. We have a quick glance at the EQ curve in the channel strip, but we also can click on it and open up the full EQ. Mainstage also includes EQ presets, which you can access by clicking here. After that, we have the MIDI plugin slot. Whenever you hover over any of the slot will turn gray. Then we can click on the slot and we can see all of the available MIDI plugins that we have. We'll explore more of these MIDI effects in the coming videos, but I'm just going to select the transposer one for now. Now that I've selected the transposer plugin, it now occupies that spot. If we hover over it with our mouse, the box is divided into 3 sections. We have the power button, which will turn the plugin on and off, or bypass and engage. On the far right, we have up and down arrows, where we can select another plugin to fill that spot. If we click on the center, we open up the plugin window itself, and we can start adjusting the plugin how we want it. Well, what if we want additional MIDI effects? It's not entirely obvious, but when you look at it, and you hover your mouse over the bottom of the insert, a little strip lights up. Then you can click on the insert and add another MIDI effect. Next, we have the input slot. This is where we designate what type of channel strip this is. We can tell it to be an external instrument like a guitar, a virtual instrument, an external piece of MIDI hardware, or an aux track. Right now, this channel strip is a virtual instrument, so if I click on it, I have a bunch of virtual instruments to select from. I can even scroll all the way down at the bottom and select audio unit instruments and select third-party plugins. It's important to know that once we've decided what we want the channel strip to be, we can't really change it. You can see there's no option under the inputs for my audio box inputs. If I wanted to set up a patch for my guitar, and let's say my guitar was plugged into the first channel on my audio box, I could go back to this gearbox and select Create Patch with Channel Strip, and then I can select audio. Once I select audio, I have a couple options here. For format, I'm going to keep it on mono since the guitar is mono. The input, I could select which input it's coming in on. I would select one. And then I'm going to keep the output the same. Now that the channel strip is created, I can go over to the input portion of it. And you can see I don't have any options for virtual instruments anymore, but I can change the input. Next in line is our audio effects. Our audio effects, like reverb and delay, don't have to be set up as aux tracks on the concert level like I explained earlier. You can insert those effects right here, and it will apply those effects to the patch. It's a good idea to apply unique audio effects like a chorusing or distortion on the patch level, because you may only need one instance of those effects. Effects like reverb and EQ are sometimes better set up on an aux track. If I had a multi-layered patch, I wouldn't want to create a separate reverb on each channel strip, because then I would have multiple reverbs going on at the same time. It would make more sense to create a multi-layered patch and then bus those patches to the same aux track so we can get one unified reverb effect. I'll show you more about that in the videos to come. Moving on down, we have our sends. We can choose multiple bus paths here, and I can even insert more by clicking down here. The circular knobs beside the buses will dial in the wetness of our aux track. Output sound is going to, which is output 1 and 2. Pan will balance the sound between the left and right outputs. Below that is our fader for our channel strip. We can adjust the volume for the entire strip, and we can also see the metering for it. Rounding off the channel strip, we can either mute the whole strip or solo it. And we also have some labeling at the bottom here that's color-coded. So there's just a couple more things to mention here before we dive into the next video and start creating more complex patches. If I want to hide any of the contents of the channel strip, I can just right-click on the blank space and then deselect the item here. With the channel strip selected, I'm going to move over to the Attributes section of the inspector window. Here I can rename the channel strip. When I rename the channel strip, it'll only change the text at the bottom and will keep the patch name the same. I can also change the color of the channel strip, which is also the same color of the layer of the keyboard. Lastly, I have a whole bunch of icons here that I can choose from, and that'll help me identify. When I do this, it'll also change the icon for the patch. Alright, so that wraps up this part 2 of patch creation. Be sure to check out the next video where we start diving into multi-layered patches and splits. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in